I really appreciate you coming in here. So, we're streaming to quite a few people right now in our little Discord community, and I gotta say, a couple years ago when I was, starting in the cybersecurity field, your videos were like very pivotal to me, and it really, really did help me a lot. And I've been in cybersecurity a couple years now, and the community is just so great of people giving back and creating content and educating each other. So you're one of the main people that inspired me actually to create a little cybersecurity community, and yeah, it's just really cool to have you here, and yeah, I appreciate your time.
Well, thank you for those kind words, Chris. I appreciate that. I got into the IT industry. God, I just you don't feel old. Old just kind of catches up on you, right? See, I'm still like 23. No offense, but I could pretty much crush you guys in probably a broad cross section of online games. I mean that with love. I mean that with love. Uh, but it's just you just keep running and running, then all of a sudden it's like I don't know if you heard, Chris. Last year I got bought out.
Oh, really? I haven't heard that.
So my company, Total Seminars, is now a fully owned subsidiary of National Cyber Group, and they basically handed me a wheelbarrow full of money, and so I've been basically helping in the transition. Been doing that for about a year now, and yeah, so it's an interesting world. So you don't, I'm jacking with technology every day of the week. When we're done talking, I've got to goose up this RTX 4090 one more time. That's giving me nothing but trouble, but I tend to overclock and use naughty backstreet drivers, so I get what I pay for. But so you just stay with technology constantly, and then all of a sudden, people are like, "When were you born?" "Oh, 1997." I'm like, "Good God, I still have ties that I wear from 1997." And yeah, so it's an interesting game that we play in. So, Chris, what's your organization? I don't even know who you guys are. And by the way, can I have a Discord invite, please?
Yeah, Richard can send you a Discord invite if you wouldn't mind, since I'm streaming
Yep.
right now. But
Can we
yeah,
just throw it in the chat here? Is that okay?
yeah, for sure. And
This
we're
person
not.
named this person named Peter is actually Richard.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
Dude, you have like the greatest mustache I have seen in years.
Thank you. I'm trying to get mine like yours.
It is assembled
Taking me
from
a
the
bit.
parts of lesser mustaches, man. See what you got to do to get a big mustache like this? Join a fire department.
Oh, I may just have to. Those
I'm
guys.
telling you, yeah, you got to do it.
Yeah, so the organization we're representing is just basically a community called Try Hard Security. It's mainly aimed towards people that have no degrees or certs, and we kind of guide them from nothing to getting a job into cybersecurity. There's been dozens of people in the community that have gotten jobs, and probably close to 100 people that gotten degrees, and it's a really awesome community. It's very tight knit. Everyone's helping out each other, and yeah, that's our little community that we got going on.
I'm in now. I'm just checking it out.
Awesome. Yep.
So why are you doing this, Chris and Richard and Camden? What's the motivation?
Yeah,
Money?
it's definitely not for monetary gain. So interestingly enough, we don't sell anything or make profit on anything that we do. The main motivating factor is someone helped me get into cybersecurity for free. A couple years ago, they told me about the exact method they used to do it, how they got hands-on experience, how they went about applying for jobs, and he kind of held my hand throughout the whole thing. And it changed my life a whole bunch. And yeah, I went from a broke kid to like doing DoorDash, to being a pen tester. So it was really life-changing for me, just to have like that mentor and that guidance. So that's when I kind of created the community. Started shouting it out on TikTok and creating TikToks and Instagram videos about how to get into the cybersecurity community. I've amassed almost like maybe 800,000 followers total, and I just push them all into the Discord and teach people as best as I can in my free time.
Well, good for you, man. That's a fine goal. I do need to warn you, Chris. I am a capitalist. Not right now. Yeah, I didn't want to tell Richard that you're paying me $500 for this thing.
Yeah,
a man with a mustache like that does not believe such foolish things. So,
yeah,
Chris, where are you located at, man?
I'm in Dallas personally.
Dallas.
Yep.
I thought I love Southern Oklahoma. It's a beautiful part of the country. I'm in Houston, which is where Texas really is, as opposed to
Southern Oklahoma. I haven't heard that one.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're close to a town called Plano. I mean, that says a lot right there, I think,
Yeah, that is true. I have friends in Plano, actually, so.
Yeah, Houston, Texas, and, so what are you doing when you're not motivating and helping folks move forward and going upward and outward? I know you're supposed to be interviewing me, but I'm curious. So
yeah, no problem. Yeah, I do a lot of hiking.
Hey, Richard Camden, don't be afraid to jump in at any moment. I fill all quietness with my voice, so don't be afraid to jump in. Go ahead, Chris.
In my free time, honestly, I love going outside and like taking my dogs on hikes and doing that kind of thing. And then also going to a lot of events like cybersecurity events, real estate events, just meeting people and that are doing stuff with their life and educating people and themselves. And yeah, I kind of enjoy things like that.
So it's interesting you say real estate events. There seems to be some thing about IT security people and real estate investment. I don't have pure scientific demographics, but it's a common thing I hear from folks. I don't know why. I have no reason why it takes place. I'm also into real estate, Chris. So
nice.
So man, I'll tell you, I can put a wax ring on a toilet with my eyes closed. I do my own maintenance. You know why I do maintenance? Makes me work. I don't know about you guys, but it gets real easy to sit at the keyboard and not look at the sun for days on end.
Oh, I feel that.
For sure.
I've been there.
Chris, if you ever get a chance, get on YouTube, and you know what? I'm gonna post it up for you. It's a video I did a long time ago. Get to see me with a little bit of hair.
Oh, nice. Okay.
It's called Mike Meyers' 10 Commandments, and what it's all about is what as techs. What are the things that techs often not do? It's not so much the good Lord, 12 years ago. It's not so much like technology. It's just more like, like some of the stuff we're talking about right here. Man, you guys don't, little things that you guys don't even think about still blow my mind. You know what blows my mind? USB. You guys don't even think about it. And I'm just like, it's like, oh, it's magic. Especially now with USB-C, where we don't have to worry about USB-A superpositioning. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You take a regular USB-A connector, and if you don't look at the end and you try to push it in, it never goes in, right? And then if you turn it 180 degrees and try to push it in, if you don't look at it, it still won't go in. You have to actually look at it, and in quantum mechanics, once something is observed, it's locked in position, right? And then it fits in. Things like USB just blow my mind. What else really blows my mind? Oh, like cut and pasting. Universal cutting and pasting across not only operating systems, but even now across browsing and things like that, or from virtual machine to a host machine. Rick was like, what is this dude talking about?
I take that for granted for sure. The universal copy and paste. If I didn't have that, my life would be a lot harder.
Well, I mean, it's been around for almost 20 years now. I know, but it's like, I remember. Yeah, that's the other thing I had to do. Whenever I talk like this, I force myself to use an old man voice, like this. I want to talk like, mainly to remind myself that I'm boring you guys to death. So, But yeah, it is. Technology's great, man. The interesting thing to me about technology is that for the most part, in 40 years of watching all this stuff go by, with the exception of the internet, most of the technology I've seen has been things getting faster, wider, hot swappable, self-recovering, portable, wireless, but it's still the same thing. You know what I mean? We're still watching videos. I may have been watching it on my, on my desktop a few years ago, or a laptop, or a tablet, or my phone. Remember when phones didn't fold? And
they went from folding to not folding to back to folding.
Oh yeah, and then security is the other big thing. Is that, you guys understand that there's a reason we have HTTP versus secure HTTP. We have FTP versus secure FTP. We have DNS versus DNSSEC. Is that the internet was developed by a bunch of hippies smoking something, I don't know, and they didn't even think about security when it first came out. And they put all this up, it's like, dude, it's like totally cool web, And it was up to this is after me, this was getting into your guys' generation, where all of a sudden you're like, hey, people are stealing and people are losing stuff, and we're the ones, who have to come in and actually develop security. Not only develop the protocols, protocols are always going to evolve, but, you guys are trapped, well, not trapped's a bad word, are constantly challenged by new security issues, new vulnerabilities, new communication, new language, all this stuff. And I got to tell you, I've spent my whole life staying on top of technology. Maybe it's my age or all those things I smoked, snorted, and rubbed on my belly back in the 80s, but it is hard to keep up with the amount of technology change. It's accelerating. It's an exponential curve. And back in my day, you could be a generalist, and you could at least make a living, but that's really not true anymore. I got a buddy of mine who's all he does TikTok security. That's it. Multiple six-figure income. Who'd have thunk it? Who'd have thunk it 3 years ago, right? It makes for an interesting time. It makes for fun. The only danger is, and tell me, Chris, if this ever speaks to you, is that, I don't know, you get lost on YouTube much?
You mean like go down some rabbit holes?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yep.
Who doesn't, And all of a sudden, so you hear about this other technology, the Chat GPT. And it's like, oh, well, I'm going to get into Chat GPT. And it's like, nah, not really. You're going to get on Chat GPT, whip up an account, tell it to write a philosophical treatise on Nietzsche versus somebody else, and do it in French. All right? And then you do that. Oh, and keep it at 1,500 words. You do that, and you're like, wow. And then you're like, okay, what else am I going to do with this? You know what I mean? And it unless you can use that tool to actually tie into whatever vertical interest you have, it's really, really hard. Well, it is for me to jump from point to point.
Yep.
I could just keep blabbing here, Chris, but if you got some questions, throw them at me.
Okay, yeah. We'll get started on some questions. So, my first question is, what's your advice to someone who has no certificates or degrees, but they want to work in cybersecurity?
Why? The first question I ask them is, why do you want to get into cybersecurity? Don't do anything that you're not passionate about. People started asking me years ago when my book started to take off, and they were like, so, Mike, when are you going to retire? I'm like, dude, I retired 25 years ago. I haven't worked a day in my life in a long time. Talking with you guys is fun. Jacking with drivers on an RTX 4090 is fun. Screwing up once again on, don't laugh at me, I'm back in World of Warcraft after a long hiatus. I've got a human mage I'm rolling up to classic, not the retail. I get sidebarred like this all the time. What was I talking about, Chris? Don't laugh at me. I do this all the time.
You were talking about don't get into cybersecurity unless if you're passionate about it.
Passionate. Is that if you're not, IT security is one of the worst things you can do if you just want to make money. If all you're trying to do is make money in life, oh my God, become an electrician. The amount of demand for good residential electricians today is ridiculous, absolutely amazing. And plumbers are just incredible. Yeah, I'm not saying it's the cleanest job in the world, but you want to talk about well-paid jobs that are going to support any recession, anything, you will always need electricians, you will always need plumbers. Now, so let's just assume for a moment you have passion, that there's something about it, IT security, you're like, well, whatever it is, I don't know, I'm going to be a hacker, or, whatever it might be. All good, fine things. The question you ask yourself is, how much are you doing this on your own just for fun right now? You don't have any degree, you don't have any certifications. Have you already started to play with this stuff a little bit? Have you downloaded I'm trying to think of some security tools. What's the current red hot Linux that everybody's using for?
I still use Kali.
Kali, there you go. All right. Yeah, but you haven't lived until you've installed Kali on a Raspberry Pi, dude. But but seriously, I mean, the question I would ask this person is, have you already on your own started to do stuff? Are you putting in cameras? Are you having fun doing lock picking? Are you doing things? Nobody's asking you. Sorry, that's what I get for drinking Dr. Pepper. Nobody's asking you to do anything. You're just self-motivated. Does that make sense?
Yep.
See, even Camden's nodding his head up and down finally.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, just making sure you're there, man.
Yeah.
Okay. So that would be one of the big criteria I'd be looking at. The other criteria I'd be looking at is, even outside of IT security, are you enjoying technology? All right? I mean, I always hated this. This started like 20 years ago, because my daughter's 34. And everybody'd be like, oh, she's the daughter of this great computer nerd. She must be really good at computers. And Emily's she's now a CPA. Just had my third grandkid too, huh? And but she's useless at technology. Like most people, she knows how to point and click, and use finger strokes. And Blair was like, "Oh, these young people know everything about computers. They don't know diddly, They know enough to, get. Well, back then we used to say Facebook. I don't even know what anybody's using anymore in terms of LinkedIn, right? There you go. And really don't understand underpinnings. Things that would tell me that I have a potentially good tech in front of me would be, for example, they have gone to a command line on their own. That would be a strong pointer. They may have not been able to do anything, or they may have typed in format space C:/S, but they're showing a little bit of passion and initiative, even in a non-IT security thing. There's even things that show up outside of IT. Would you call online gaming an IT thing? To me, it's really not. I don't know.
Depends.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
But model building, physical model building, people are into macrame. People are into board gaming. Just basically, if you can write the word nerd on their forehead with a laundry pencil, there's a pretty good chance you've stumbled into something. I should have had this ready before we... So that would be the first thing, and that is, are you doing things that tell me that you're going to have not only success but also joy by coming into that world? That's number one. Because I'll tell you right now, I don't care how smart you are. I don't really care about anything. It's work ethic. It's just work ethic. And the biggest problem with any form of IT, not just IT security, but IT, is that we have a very frustrating industry. I mean, all three of you guys have been in situations where problem X stands in front of you, and you're online, and you're definitely starting. It's the people who show the perseverance to be able to punch through challenging problems that are invariably weak in documentation, and to solve it. I mean, that's a big sign for me, Chris, and something that I'd be looking for. if you could say all those things, then I would say, well, here's the big sermon. I haven't, in the last time I saw a market situation like the one we're in right now was in around 1990. It was Gulf War One, and we had just started getting this new thing called networking. Yes, I'm using the double quotation marks. And there is this company called Novell that invented this networking software called NetWare. The networking of your forefathers, kids, don't worry about it. But what happened is that the demand was so astronomical that I'm actually looking for a prop. Oh well. The demand was so astronomical that they were taking almost anybody. And it was the first time we had this thing called certification. The first popular IT certification was called Certified Novell Engineer, or CNE. There were others before it, but that was the first big one. And we started seeing these, boot camps, and I'm very pro boot camp. I'm going to tell you right now. So, boot camps and these training courses. Back then, the community colleges and the universities, they didn't even know anything about this. For them, computer science was a programming and Fortran course, basically, is all it was. Maybe assembler. So you began to see the industry in a panic to try to fill these slots, grabbing all kinds of folks. And there's a double-edged sword there, because my new company, National Cyber Group, is training SOC analysts now. And our pitch is, you give us 20 weeks, we'll give you a six-figure income. And I'm putting the Mike Meyers name and reputation on that. And that's what's happening today. This all started about 2 years ago when I was approached by a person who you should be aware of, Philip Niedermeyer. Philip is a, good Lord, I don't even know how to describe him, a force of nature. He's the kind of guy who knows everybody in the federal level. He's amazing. And him and I started talking, and he was on this President Trump commission called the Solarium Commission, and which was basically saying we have a big shortage of IT security analysts, and what are we going to do about it? And to tell you how strong the Solarium Commission is, it is one of the few commissions that went from Trump to Biden without any hiccups. So I think that speaks volumes right there. And these guys are like, Mike, we're short. Well, now it's up to like 250,000 unfilled slots. Just no, they can't find anybody to take the gigs. And I was at RSA, not the one that just ended, but the year before, and I started going around. I was going around to Fortune 100 companies and talking to HR people and stuff, and they're like, we're desperate. We're just absolutely desperate. And so we are in a situation now, Chris, where IT security, honestly, I want to say this in a positive and healthy way. Right now, the opportunities for IT security are pretty broad. And I know lots of folks who do not have college degrees, who do not have security clearances, who do not have previous IT experience, who are getting jobs. Now, these are entry-level jobs, guys. I mean, if you think you're going to be a pen tester coming out of taking a security, no, it's not going to happen. Forget about it.
This kind of goes into my next question. I tell people all the time they should skip help desk. Do you agree with that?
Skip what?
Skip help desk.
If you want to be in IT security?
Yeah, a lot of people will tell you.
Right now I would.
Yeah, a lot of people will tell you to go get a help desk job, and I don't really agree with that. And I was wondering your opinion.
Well, I don't agree with simply saying don't. For a lot of people, we still need lots of IT support people. We need tons of administrative people. Just because security is a little hot right now, all that did was make all these other jobs hotter because everybody else is jumping over to IT security, and I can't find a stupid, Windows Server administrator for the life of me. So I would disagree, Chris, with you in terms of telling people not to get into help desk. Get into help desk. The only reason you get into help desk, though, is you're probably not going to be pursuing an IT security slot. You're probably going to be looking more towards administration and stuff like that. And I don't even care, and no matter what you do, if you're still working help desk after more than about a year to 18 months, you're probably making a mistake, in my opinion. The one nice thing about IT is that from an entry-level standpoint, this is the one industry where you can jump in your first year, jump 2 or 3 jobs. Nobody even blinks. Nobody even cares, you know? I mean, if you're a pharmacist, that might be a different story. But for us, nobody cares.
Gotcha. So what are your opinions on all the recent layoffs?
Who are they laying off? Pull up a headline and tell me who's getting laid off.
Yeah, I can't pull up a headline right now, but in my experience reading articles, they're not really the cybersecurity people. It's, other tech workers. However, I feel like a lot of people are getting afraid of that, and they're not understanding exactly what's happening.
Okay, so what's your alternative? When people start saying they're afraid, Chris, I get a little crabby sometimes. It's like, okay, so what are you going to do? Then you're going to go be a plumber, What are you going to do? Just stay at home and play. Good Lord, what else am I playing right now? I got to get this. I'm also playing Age of Empires. I know it's an old. I brought it back up. I get frustrated when people. I'm not the nicest guy out there. I mean, I'm talky, but sometimes I can be a little rough edge. And I get a little angry at folks like that. I'm like, get off your butt. Do something, for God's sake. I mean, what's your alternative? Anyway, I'm afraid, Bluto. Forget it. And even people like that, I get so angry at them sometimes. I'm like, there's so many people out there I can help right now that I got to put you down. And I don't mean insult you. I mean to set you aside and move on. And I mean it with love. And I was like, if you want to light things back up, that's great. But and Chris, if you're going to become an influencer in careers of any form of career, be nursing for all I care, people are afraid. And there's good reason to be afraid. I'm not saying you shouldn't be afraid. I live in fear every day that, my hair's going to suddenly grow back. Oh, okay, I'm kidding. But, people live in fear. And one of the things you can do, Chris, and I'm going to put this on you personally, and Richard and Camden, I'm going to put on you guys too, because you're up here, so, and they're both growing mustaches, Chris. Next time I see you, you better be working on that, brother.
All right, I got you.
Of course.
All right, the world cries for leadership, Chris, and people look for guidance. And it's great to provide guidance, but sometimes you got to kick some butt too. Sometimes you got to push a little bit. You'll be shocked how many people will respond to that. You'll be shocked. So dude, look here, Chris. Here, I'm probably not that far from real retirement.
Yep.
I'm getting the point where, I don't have to work now.
That's amazing, though. So.
Stay on it, guys. And tough love is a good thing. I get nervous. This is where I'm going to be controversial. I don't want to talk about politics. I want to talk about personalities, okay? I like Donald Trump's personality, okay? I grew up with obnoxious, narcissistic, self-centered, loud bosses, okay? I don't want to talk about his politics. I have no interest. I don't like Trump politically. And now we have guys like Obama. I think President Obama is a fine president. I have no problem with that. But he's kind of soft, in my opinion. This is my opinion. And one of the problems, this whole OK Boomer thing that came out, I think, was because we've kind of moved from the, it used to be a lot harder. It was rougher, and now it's softer. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not making that judgment. I'm just saying it's very different. And for a guy like me in particular, like right now, you have no idea how carefully I say my words to y'all. How very, very carefully. Because I don't want the big C word, and that ain't cancer. That's cancel.
Oh, yeah, I don't blame you on that one.
Yeah. But, yeah, I'm probably going to be, I'll never really retire. I'm always going to be active with National Cyber Group and helping out. I'm on the board of directors, and blah, blah, blah. Where were we going? Here we go. I did it again, Chris. Come on, man.
No, you were answering
Richard,
it
keep
perfectly
smiling
fine.
at everybody. You got that $1 million smile. All the girls are going crazy right now, and some of the guys are too. Where were we, Chris?
I was asking what your opinion was about the layoffs, and you were talking about...
the layoffs. Yeah. Look, layoffs always happen. I've been through 5 recessions, okay? And 1 arguable depression. The people who sit and whine and cry will always lose. And the people who persevere and fight, take a couple of licks, the people who work the hardest, the people who stay in the top % of performance, these words don't even mean anything to us. They don't even mean anything.
Yeah, that's what I try to tell people all the time. History changes, and as the world changes and evolves, the available jobs change and evolve. So if they go in with that, that mindset, then, they're going to just be sitting at home waiting for the world to pass them by. Because eventually all jobs change. Look just a couple 100 years ago, the jobs of the modern American were so different than what it is today. So you just have to constantly be improving, willing to try new things, and just come out on top and position yourself to do that.
Passionate. I'm telling you, man, that's the magic word. So yeah, I'm not concerned about layoffs.
That's good to know.
When you've heard the old Irish toast, "May you live in interesting times," right? Which is actually a curse. Have you guys ever heard this? Richard, go like this or go like this.
Yeah,
don't just stare and do like
we
that.
have.
Okay, all right. Camden, watch yourself. I'm picking on Richard right now, but you're next, dude. Just know that. All right? I love change. The most success I've had, the most fun I've had, the most interesting times I've had was when the economy or when technology was disruptive. And I mean, you guys should have. It was amazing being around in like 96, 97 when the Y2K stuff. I was making wheelbarrows full of money, just as an instructor. And don't fear change. Don't fear disruption. Just figure out a way when something is disruptive to be a part of it, and you'll always be fine. You'll never, ever get fired. Well, they'll fire you because they think that you're going to become too competitive or something. But, it's all good. You want me to keep? I can keep harping on this, Chris.
I'll let Richard ask some questions. I think he has a couple.
For those looking to get into security, what are some recommended resources that you would suggest?
I'm going to pitch my Security Plus course, and the reason I'm doing that is I don't like CompTIA. They know this too. I don't like them. But I will tell you what CompTIA does do a really good job of is for a nonprofit, they make a very good pathway for people who are trying to get IT careers. And to that end, the Security Plus certificate, you know what? Forget the Security Plus certification for a minute. The Security Plus objectives. I don't know if you guys ever looked at the CompTIA objectives for Security Plus.
Yep.
All right, so imagine that all of IT security knowledge is an 8-foot round table, a white 8-foot round table. All right. So I want you to grab some. I'm always looking for props. Grab some pepper, okay? And unscrew the lid and grab like a big pinch of pepper and just throw it on the table, okay? And so it kind of lays all over the table. That is Security Plus. To me, Security Plus is almost more of a survey of IT security. Most people, before they take Security Plus, think that IT security is pen testing. And that's such a tiny percentage of what IT security is, right? I mean, cybersecurity in general, heck, governance and audit and all kinds of other huge areas that people don't even see. So probably, Richard, the first thing I'd tell people is look up a Security Plus course. Don't panic about actually taking the exam, but I pretty much assure you that if you pick up mine or some of my fine competitors' work, you'll be self-motivated to do that anyway. And it will give you an idea of what you're trying to get yourself invested into. Richard, I don't have like go to this web page or read that book. I learned a long time ago that when you're trying to pick media for other people, it's like trying to pick a purse for my girlfriend. All I'm going to do is be wrong and upset people. So what I'd rather you do instead is think about the path of where you can start. Security Plus has lots of trainers out there, lots of resources. You can pick any resource you want, of course.
Kind of blurred out.
I know, I'm trying to get it to... Oh, it's a stupid... Hold on, I'm going to fix this. There we go. So you can pick any book you want, of course. I might recommend, maybe one over another. Or check out my Udemy course. It would also might be a fun place to go as well. Udemy, LinkedIn, Lynda, NextView. I'm in Spanish. I'm in German. Yeah. Oh, funny side story, Richard. So, yo hablo español para gringos solamente, okay? But I speak enough Spanish that I'm not totally afraid of Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
So when NextView came up, they're like, Mike, we want to do your video courses in Spanish. I was like, yeah, también, let's go. And they're like, oh, no. You're muy feo, ugly. So they hire these kids from Colombia. It's not. They hire these kids from Colombia, and they basically take my words in English, translate it to Spanish, and these kids who don't know technology from Adam, they're purely actors, are using my words. It's hilarious, man. Get this 25-year-old guy, he's got tons of hair, and, and that's muy guapo, very handsome. And, yeah, it's funny. Sorry, didn't mean to sidebar you there, Richard.
No, you're all good.
I'll do this all day if you give me a chance.
So there's another question from one of the viewers. They're asking, what are some of your worries with AI and cybersecurity?
I'm not worried about AI and cybersecurity. That is a damn interesting question, Richard. The unknown is my biggest fear. I'm a bit of an Elon Musk fan in terms of that unchecked AI can. What do we have? Isn't Google now up to a 1 trillion permutation AI system now? They're actually worried about not having enough hardware to keep up with them anymore. Human creativity is going to be a hard thing for AI to match, but you can replace creativity with a lot of speed and a lot of permutations, you know what I mean? And I worry sometimes about how we replace true original creativity with stuff that looks pretty good. And I fear primarily in the pure academic environment what effect that might be. So that would be my only real concern about AI. Other than that, I, for one, totally welcome our new robot overlords.
Yeah, that's exactly like word for word what I just told someone the other day when they asked me my opinion.
Smart minds think alike, Chris. What can I say? Richard, where are you located, man?
Same area as Chris. I'm in Dallas.
Like, what town are you in? Louisville? Or?
I'm in the Fort Worth area, so a little bit away from Dallas.
I'm kidding.
Close.
I used to hang out in Louisville a lot, so we were a little north of y'all then, I guess. Yeah, what 35W? It's been a while. 35E? Going through Fort Worth through Louisville. Major interstate.
Man, I don't know the interstate names. I just get on the road and go.
So this is the other thing. Like my daughter, who's now in her early 30s, when she was a little kid, I made her learn compass directions. All right, so we're driving north, right? So if we make a right turn, which way are we going to be going? which way we going if we make a right turn? We're going east, Daddy. Ah. And here she is, 34 years old. She's like, Dad, you taught me a lot of things, but probably the most practical thing you ever taught me, short of learning how to wire a proper three-way switch with a traveler, is to compass directions. Well, that's a conversation stopper right there, huh? Well, so where are we at? Richard, I'm sorry. There, it's the third time I've done it. Go.
I'll ask you a different one. So,
Okay.
what's your favorite, I guess, learning technique?
Well, I think that I'm not sure what you mean by learning techniques. I often think
Like
of
the way you like to learn, the way that you find best to learn, like hands-on or reading, or what's your approach to learning new topics?
Oh, well, OJT, right? The ultimate is right. OJT is hands-on next to somebody who knows what they're doing. I'm actually not super creative in terms of repair or configuration. I tend to stick with what I've seen other people do. So that is my personal way. But just because that's my way, that's in no way is going to be that way. You know, there's kinesthetics like me. There's visual learners. There's auditory learners. You know, everybody's got their own way to do it, man. They're all good.
Yeah, I tell
And
people all the. Oh, sorry, Richard. I tell people all
No,
the
go ahead.
time to not be worried about feeling 100% ready before getting a job, because kind of like what you said, the best, school and certificates are great and everything, but there's nothing like the actual on-the-job training that you get when you actually start working. And most people don't realize that no matter what job you get, even if you go into a senior role, or let's say even you apply to a CEO position, right, and you get the CEO position, like no matter what, there will be on-the-job training, and they'll prepare you for what you're going to do day to day, and you don't have to be 100% ready before you start applying. And it's probably impossible to ever be 100% ready before you apply. And so on-the-job training.
And if you're,
yep.
first of all, I'm not even sure what ready means.
Yeah.
But using what I think you mean, if you're 50% ready, you're great. You're golden. I love it when people are, you see this in LinkedIn all the time. People are like, well, if it's an entry-level job, then why do they say 3 years experience? And I tell them they're to scare you away. You know what I mean? If you're such a coward that, you take a couple of words and you go whimpering off into a corner, they've already done some great jobs filtering. You. Out. Don't let people pull that over on you, man.
That's perfect. You actually answered somebody's question in the chat. They said, what are your thoughts about companies having high requirements for entry-level jobs? And you pretty much answered that right there. It's to scare people off that aren't committed, and they let a couple words, decide what they're going to do. And they don't know that those requirements are like their dream candidate. If it's like 3 years of experience, if you have, 8 months to a year experience, they might consider you. But you have to apply. You have to give yourself a chance.
If it says entry level and you have no experience, you're fine.
Yep.
They wouldn't say entry level otherwise. These are classic old school games that people play, And the other thing is, I'm just going to throw this in now, Richard, as corollary, and that is, when you're looking for your first jobs, no matter where you are, if you're not doing 200 resumes, you're messing up. Look, if you're super qualified and you've got a top secret clearance and you've got a bachelor's in computer science degree from, I don't know, let's pick a really great school. How about Southern Methodist University? How's that, right? Trying to pick something in Dallas there for you guys. And, all this experience, yeah, it might be a lot shorter than that. But for most of us working schlubs, getting a job is a job. And I know you've probably all heard that 100 times, but you got to listen to this stuff, man, because it's important that people understand this. I see somebody, they spend a whole week busting their butt to get 30 resumes out on, well, let's say LinkedIn, and then the next week they're on the subreddit anti-work, talking about how evil. It's like, it's all right.
Yeah, so I tell people when if they want to break into cybersecurity, to get a really good resume, have some recruiters look over it to make sure that's good, and then basically just mass apply on LinkedIn or your website of choice without really reading the job description and just filtering it by cybersecurity jobs. And then once they get the email back that the interview is being scheduled, then that's when they go look at the description of what they applied for, and kind of look more into the role. That's the way. Yeah, that's the way I did it. I got before I had a degree or experience, I got my first cybersecurity job by just having a decent resume, and I applied to around 1,000 jobs over the course of 2 months. Ooh. And I landed one, and it was just that one job that changed my life. So, what is your advice on how to go about applying, or are there specific entry-level roles that you would tell people to look for instead of just mass applying like I did?
No, I have a sort of a. I'm with you, Chris, with the one caveat that look for the job you want.
Yep.
Okay, and we can go on LinkedIn right now, look up jobs just on entry-level IT for Dallas. I'm too lazy to type it in right now. But if there aren't 300 listings, well, then you don't know how to spell entry level is probably what's happening. The demand right now for IT security certainly, but I need to keep pushing this, guys. IT security gigs are great, but there's demand for IT in general, and so there's plenty of space. Is all I'm trying to say.
So you wouldn't say there's a specific entry-level role that someone should look for. They should just genuinely find the one that they want and keep going after it?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing,
Good
though.
advice.
Let's say, people who don't have enough knowledge of what the IT security universe is, they're going to they don't know what to type in, right?
Yep.
So that's a lot of times, that's why I just say type in entry level. Because the one lesson you're going to get by typing that in is just looking at the job descriptions are going to start giving you some clues. What is this word? What do these things mean? And anybody is going to then go in and you can tell it's noon here in Houston, huh? But everybody, they can just come in and do the kind of work that they're looking for. Is all I'm trying to say, and learn about it by just searching through resumes. It really is. It's an 8-9 hour a day job. The other thing that drives me insane is that, especially people who they have no IT experience, but they were auto mechanic for 5 years. Let's say that, and they're like, "Oh, I got to do it." I'm like, "No, you don't. If you're an auto mechanic, well, I don't want to be an auto mechanic anymore. I know you don't want to be an auto mechanic anymore, but you walk around an auto mechanic's bay, look at all the brand names around. You can't even do a front end alignment without a computer anymore. You can't adjust headlights without an app you throw on your phone." I was like, use the knowledge that you already have and look for these companies and make applications to the stuff you know and love and feel good about. And don't sit here and think you have to start from the beginning. You don't have to.
That's good advice.
I got one question from the chat that I wanted to ask. They said, what's your biggest regret, Mike, that you made in your career, and what's the greatest lesson you learned throughout your career?
You mean professionally?
Yes, professionally.
I thought, well, personally, it'd be not getting rid of wife number 2 for as long as I did. That's an interesting question. Biggest regret? I wish I had done better follow-up with people. In general, you meet people and then you start throwing out business cards and you start forgetting who these are. You start looking at a connection you've got on your phone and you're like, I don't know. And I can't tell you how many people I think my career would have benefited from dramatically by having a better, more disciplined follow-up approach to the people that I connect with at any level. How's that for a clue, listeners?
It's a great answer.
Here, I'm gonna tease them a little bit.
Yeah, that means I'll be following up with you now. So
You never know who you might meet in this world, Chris. You never know.
oh, I agree.
I was sitting at a steakhouse actually in the West End, guys, and that's in Dallas. For those of you who guys don't know, does the West End still exist? You guys know what I'm talking about.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't go out like that, so no, I don't know.
It used to be the groovy part of downtown Dallas before. What's the other weird one named? Deep Ellum?
Yeah, Deep Ellum is the.
This is before
definitely the
Deep
spot
Ellum.
now.
They used to have these three girls playing on a corner called the Dixie Chicks. Okay, so it's old stuff. But I'm sitting in a restaurant, and I'm just as you guys might imagine, if you get within 3 feet of me, you're talking to me. Sorry, and I'm sitting there talking to this guy, like this and that. I'm like, oh, by the way, my name is Mike Meyers. I'm president of Total Seminars. The guy shakes my hand. He goes, I'm Herb Keller. I'm the president of Southwest Airlines. Got a nice contract out of that.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Well, that was a long time ago. He was still alive back then. But I've got a million stories like that. I mean, absolutely a million stories. So staying connected and making a point to remember who people are and, yeah.
Yeah, personally, I have a little Rolodex of everyone I meet, how I met them, what they do, the date, their phone number and contact information. And I really do believe in like following up and like keeping connections and relationships, because your network is your net worth, in my opinion, and the people you connect with. So that's really
Absolutely.
good advice.
Hey, Chris, you might want to do everybody a favor and tell them to do, hey, guys, a Rolodex is something that used to exist a long time ago. All right, Camden, do you know what a Rolodex is?
Not actually, no. I don't.
Okay, no worries. Do it, hey, Camden, just for yourself, brother. Get on Google while we're talking. And Rolodex, Rololladex. And Chris, you're way too young to know what that is. You surprised me when you said that.
Yeah, I have my own. I really do like it, so I think it's
you
really
have
important.
a physical Rolodex?
No. It's virtual. It's
okay.
virtual. Yeah, but I keep it updated.
Well, there's our app. There's our killer app. Let's have a new front end for our contacts, but it's like a Rolodex, so we could. I don't know.
I like it. All right, Richard, you want to ask another question?
Yeah, so how did you get into IT, and what made you want to start creating these courses and teaching others?
Ooh, boy, those are good questions. How did I get into IT? It was the very late 70s, early 80s, and there was nobody in it. It was old. I cut my teeth originally on an IBM 360 mainframe using CICS and a job control language called Roscoe, which we thought stood for really old software calling out for euthanasia. I was exposed to the first generation PCs while I was going to college at Texas A&M, one of many fine schools I dropped out of, and it was an old CPM Zilog system, and with the big dual 8-inch floppies, and it was the first time I was exposed to what I would consider a practical application, which was a word processing program. That was a fancy word, called WordStar. And it was the first time I'm like, all right, well, here's something I can actually do on this computer I don't have to write a program for. I'd written perpetual calendar programs, all tic-tac-toe programs, all that stuff. Which all, by the way, playing tic-tac-toe on terminal paper is a little and each thing had to show up. So I got to start at WordStar. And I started writing term papers for money because I like writing. Don't ask anything else. And so that's what got me started in technology. I was there when the IBM PC came out, and I was there when the not the Apple ones, but when the Apple IIs came out, and yeah, the 70s. Yeah, it was fun times. What was the other question?
What made you want to start teaching and creating these courses, helping others?
My motivation for teaching has been the same all along. Number one, I like to talk, right? But most of the time, I would see technology training, and this could probably go back to, anti-aircraft mounts on battleships in World War II. It's the technical manuals are either, "Hi, I'm Timmy the Mouse," right? Or the other way is, TTL logic methodologies. And it's like, I'm smart enough. I don't need somebody doing the stupid Timmy the Mouse stuff. But on the same token, why do we go this far, what I call down in the gators on technology? Whereas all of us have, Richard, what I call a black box when it comes to technology. There's a certain point where we drill down on a technology where we get to a point where I'm like, I'm cool. I don't need to go any further down. Or I don't want to go any further down because it's not going to make me a better tech. Okay, get the idea? Now, sometimes, like, I'll always run into one or two people who want to talk about, three-way versus four-way versus six-way RAM cache methodologies and tag systems. Nobody touches it. Every CPU on Earth has this, and it's you can't affect it. You can't turn a knob and adjust it. You can't make your CPU run faster or slower by jacking with it. So for me, understanding CPU caching is a black box because I'm not going to go any further with it. So I think I was really good at figuring out what your all's black boxes were, or at least at that time. That I spoke a common language with light blue collared techs that were like, okay, yeah, all right, fine, and I'm good. Look, there's only 4 reasons to teach anybody anything in IT. Number 1, is it going to make you a better tech? That includes certification. If you read any of my certification training material, I don't care if topic X ain't on the CompTIA Network Plus. I don't care. It's going to make you a better tech, and it's appropriate for that level of learning. So number 1, is it going to make you a better tech? Number 2, is it going to help you pass the exam? I mean, come on, let's admit we want to get the exam passed. Number 2, it's going to pass the exam. Number 3 is a weird one. It's CIC, or what I call, 'cause it's cool. Sometimes we have to learn about technologies just because it's interesting, It may not make you a better tech, and it may not allow you to pass the exam, but sometimes some technologies are just kind of cool, all right? I love my RGB lighting on my systems. It's fun. I love messing with DNSSEC, although it's like me and 6 other people on Earth deal with it, but I like it. The 4th one is the weirdest one, and I'm going to watch Camden smile right now when I say this. The 4th reason is sometimes you have to teach people something they don't need to know. Because if you don't teach them, they're going to get pissed off, and they're going to be like, Mike, I've heard about, I'm trying to think of where would be an example of that I run into a lot. 543 Ethernet rule systems say blah, blah, blah. And you're like, that stuff's obsolete. It's not even appropriate anymore. But if you don't teach them, they're going to be crabby. So, yeah, those are the 4 things I always think about, Richard, when I'm talking about how to provide instruction. I provided instruction because nobody else would do it the way I wanted. Everything I've written, everything I've said has been what I wish someone had done for me when I was starting out. That's the number 1 thing that stays in my brain more than anything else. And I think I've been pretty good at this over the years, and if many, many millions of books has anything to do with that, then, hopefully that's part of that process. Let me get off my soapbox here. We're better now.
And one person asked, what do you think about the new Google Cybersecurity certificate?
Haven't really looked at it yet. I've heard some good stuff about it. So why do we get certified? Let's do that instead. We get certified. The only reason I get certified is I'm prepping for my next job. That's what certification's all about. if I want to gain knowledge on a particular topic, I can usually do that on my own. And you know what? I'll caveat that. I have looked at certifications, not because I'm interested in the certification, not because I'm looking for my next job, but sometimes a certification can be a good idea of how to get into the zeitgeist of a particular technology. AWS Cloud Certs would probably be one of the best ways to look at that. Amazon drives me nuts. I mean, they just keep inventing terms like this. You know, it's like, stop. So, did I answer your question?
Yep. I think this could be our last one. I feel like we've asked you a lot, and I don't want to ask too many. So, do you have any? Who are some of your biggest inspirations in IT, and how did it impact you and your career?
Was for sure. Met him a few times. It's going to be more the technology guys as opposed to, there's a lot of people who affected me negatively. I think Steve Jobs was not a positive influence in our industry, personally. You know who Bill Burr, the comedian, is?
Yep.
Yes.
If you don't know him, check out Bill Burr, B-U-R-R. Guy's hilarious. And he talks about how, Steve Jobs, was walking around eating some precocious piece of fruit, like a pear, and he's eating on this fruit, and he's looking at these guys going, "You, take all my music and put it in this little box. Do it now." You know what I mean? It's just, and I know earlier I was saying I like that kind of stuff. So, Michael Dell, pretty cool guy. Technology. That's a fascinating question. Sue Lennox, of course. You guys don't know Sue Lennox?
Never heard of him.
Her. Sue Lennox was one of the first techs who ever taught me anything. Sue Lennox worked at the Texas Department of Transportation. And when I was the baby tech, and I would be like, "Oh, let's check the config.sys, or let's rewire the fratastat, or da-da-da." And Sue Lennox would be the one, she'd look at me and she'd go, "Boy," and you turned it off and turned it back on again. Long before IT Crowd said that. And Sue was the practical tech. She was the first real screwdriver tech who basically taught me Occam's razor, and I didn't even know I was learning about it. And, given a situation, pick the simplest answer. Sue Lennox. Yeah. Sue, if you're still alive, God bless you. I think about you every day.
I actually have 2 more questions since we're wrapping up.
I've got a slow day, guys. You picked a absolutely magic day, and the nice part is I can work on my RTX while I drink adult beverages, so we're cool.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I want to make sure we didn't really miss any big ideas. And do you just have any? Let me try to word this question right. What's your best advice on someone trying to enter cybersecurity, where they don't have any experience? And I know you said passion, all that stuff, but is there anything that we might have not talked about based on our questions that you want people to know about the cybersecurity field, the tech field, how to get into it and make a good living?
All right. This may not be a short answer. There is no wrong path, first of all. Number one, the biggest mistake you can make is to not act. That's the great danger. And certifications are important, but they're only for your next job. And don't collect certifications. Don't sit there and go, "I'll get the A+, Net Plus, Security Plus, CCNA, AWS." Don't do that. You don't need any certifications to begin applying for jobs. And most of the time, when you're studying for certifications, it's a nights and weekends kind of thing because you're already working. So move forward. Don't be fearful. Understand that the world is crying for leadership. Don't be afraid to provide some leadership. It is better to act as a leader and be wrong. I don't mean a boss. Anybody can be a boss. A leader provides insight. A leader provides guidance. I don't care what little job you have or not have a job, but get out of your mother's basement and start walking around. Start volunteering. If you're a religious person, go help at your church. If you're an atheist, go help at Planned Parenthood or whatever it is that you're looking for. But get out there. Watch that Ten Commandments link. There's some stuff in there that might be helpful. Be brazen, especially if you're young. Look, no offense, but you young guys, I can literally mop the walls with you guys, except for one thing. You know what you guys have that I don't have? Energy. I would kill, Chris. I would kill for your energy. All right. I've got I got so many things, and with ITIS, I don't even want to talk about it. All right. And take advantage of that energy. Take advantage of the ability to stay out all night, party like a rock star. All of a sudden, realize at 6:30 in the morning you got to be at work at 8. Take a shower and just get up and do it again. Amen. That is, you have no idea what kind of power you have with that. Yeah, I have knowledge and experience. You have unlimited energy. There isn't a single path that's going to work for everybody. Basically, your paths are either going to be a university degree, but keep in mind, a university degree, in my opinion, is usually more for a management thing, as opposed to being able to do one job versus another. If you want to be a CEO, you probably are going to have to get a bachelor's degree, but that's not a technical issue. Most computer science degrees are programming degrees and not much else. There's variance in there. The second thing you can do is go to a 2-year school. Lots of 2-year schools out there, private schools. There's lots of opportunities out there. The only thing I would make sure if I'm going to a 2-year school is that they better have a amazing placement program, like incredible. And when you go to that school, you go, look, of the good, this is what you got to ask them, of the good people, the people with the good grades, the people who are taking the time and getting into it, what percentage of those folks get placed? They know the answer. They just don't like to. Nobody likes to talk about placement, Chris, because any type of school you have will bring in X number of people, and out of that X number of people, a certain percentage just never show up for class. They never show up. Or a certain number of percentage of people drop out. A certain percentage of people move to Canada, or whatever it might be. All right? So, 2-year school. The third type of thing is take a look at boot camps. Now, I need to put a caveat in here. National Cyber Group owns Cyber Now Labs, which is they call themselves a boot camp. I don't know how you can have a boot camp in 20 weeks, but they call it a boot camp, so I'm not going to. Cyber Now Labs, here, I'm going to put a URL in here. This is what you got to pay to get me on, Chris. I get to give the sales pitch.
Oh, yeah, so no problem.
This is Cyber Now Labs. They have a 20-week program, and they say, you give us 20 weeks, and we will give you a 6-figure income.
Cyber Now Labs, okay.
And I will tell you that of the good people, you understand where I'm coming from?
Yep. The
people who, they have what's called their blue chip program, which basically is an attendance thing. This is a remote course. You can do this in your bedroom. And they teach you how to become a analyst for a SOC. That's not the thing you put on your foot, guys. That's a security operations center, okay? And they have an amazing track record with the people who take their time and do it right. I have a friend of mine. In fact, I've got an interview with him on my YouTube channel, Total Seminars channel. Michael Liebert. Michael Liebert, 62 years old, no college degree, not one damn certification, no IT experience, wildly unattractive man. I mean, he just fell off the back of the ugly truck. And he got a job literally before he even graduated. And so, you know, that's it. Now, the last way, and there is an order to this, the last way to get into this world is to self-teach yourself through certifications. And if you're looking in IT security right now, the de jure way to go is going to be the CompTIA Security Plus certification. There are not any other. I made my fortune on CompTIA A+. But to be honest with you, if somebody was looking exclusively at IT, they probably would not, in my opinion, want to do A+. They probably want to look at Network Plus, which is an amazing I call Network Plus the most important certification you'll never need. Because it's literally, if you don't know what DHCP is, if you don't know what DNS is, if you don't know what Ethernet is, if you just want a quick, learn it all, that certification's amazing. Oh! Hang on. I'm not going far. Ugh. And there's, oh, not again. And there's lots of great books out there that I could recommend. Managing the Troubleshooting Networks, McGraw-Hill, authored by, well, I'm actually not the author anymore, Chris. They got me retired, so I'm now the, what's the word they use? Series editor. So,
I bet
which
that's a
basically
different
means
feeling.
I still do all the work. But so those would be the 4 ways to look at it. I can't tell you. I can't tell anybody what's the right way for them to go. Don't use money as a criteria. Actually, that's pretty much a generic life statement. I get so tired of people saying, I don't have enough money. I don't even understand what that means. I'm doing pretty good in life right now, but I wasn't always that way, and I don't really think about money. I never did. Dude, I stood in line for government cheese, okay? I've been on welfare. Don't go thinking I'm some like Richie Rich, because I wasn't. Not until, let's just say my daughter was born before I started to be able to not worry about paying the electric bill. But the world wants to support people who are moving forward. And there's always somebody out there to help you out. Always. And so don't forget about that. And don't forget about charitable stuff, too. Hey, Camden, are you in Texas also?
I am not. I'm in Pennsylvania.
Where in Pennsylvania?
State College area. Central.
Oh, I used to live in a little town called Allentown.
Oh, yeah, I actually lived about an hour away from there 2 years ago. Yeah.
I was there like 40 years ago.
That's awesome.
But yeah, no, it's good. I love Pennsylvania. You know what I like about Pennsylvania? Here, Chris and Richard are going to find this funny, Camden. You're not going to know what I'm talking about. Hey, Richard, Chris, you know what makes Pennsylvania great? You can lay down on the grass in the summer.
Oh, I know. I lived in Texas for 13 years, so I definitely agree with that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Y'all, you don't have fire ants like we do.
Yeah.
Where was I going? I did it again. Okay, Chris, Cannon, your turn. Bring Mike back.
We were talking about Allentown.
The question was if there was just any tips or advice that we didn't touch on.
Okay, one more thing I just want to add for your Texas viewers. Do you guys know that you can get pretty much all free computer equipment you want?
How
Really?
so?
I did not know that.
Now, you can't just do it as a person, Richard, all right? But do it as a school or a church or anything. What happens is the state of Texas, and Camden, there may be other states that have this program, but I know Texas. And it's the Department of Corrections, the prison system. If you have a department in the state of Texas and you're retiring your laptops or your routers or your UPSs or your anything, they by law are required to be shipped to the Walls unit in the state of Texas. And the Walls unit, these are all prisoners who are doing this work, and they do an amazing. I've been there. I've worked with them. They're incredible. Group. This is a men's unit, all guys, and they have a little. They're not allowed to be on the internet, Chris. So all they have is this little piece of paper. You can look it up online. Walls Unit, Texas Department of not prisons, the Department of Corrections, and you can download and print this awful fax paper, and you just write on there what you want, fax it to them, and within a week, a truck shows up in front of your house or place of business, and they just give it to you. It's absolutely amazing program.
Are these good equipment too?
I'm sorry?
Are these like good modern day
Yeah,
equipment
most
too?
of the stuff is very recent. Maybe 3 years old.
That's really good to know, actually.
But you have to be careful. Chris, don't bother just saying, "Oh, I'm just Chris. Come here, son." Get somebody at the SMU to help you out, or some little church down the road. Hey, look, I'll install your router, but we're going to get 4 routers that show up. I'm going to install one for you. I'll take the others. Not that I've ever done that, folks. I mean, because of course I've never done that.
Well, okay. Yeah, I think does Cam or Richard, do you have any more cybersecurity related questions?
No, that's all the questions from me
None on my
at the
end.
moment.
All right.
Appreciate
Well,
your-
I'll just ask you one final fun question. What's your favorite video game?
Right
Like
now,
no, not right now, but of all time.
Half-Life.
Half-Life? Oh, that is a good one.
Man, when that first came out, well, that was the first time that we had LAN parties. That was the first time that there were other people in the game with me. And was it Half-Life? Wait, it was one of those. It had to be Half-Life. Castle Wolfenstein didn't have multiplayer. And I remember that I'm running around in this, and the gun stick out. My first-person shooter, right? And I'm running around. My buddy was connected. We had actually set up a couple of LAN cards and put them together. And all of a sudden, I'm like, okay, I'm here. Where are you? I'm here. Oh, God, there he is. And he's standing in front of me. I'm like, jump. And he jumps. And I'm just like, wah! I mean, that one. And, God, honestly, again, Half-Life 2. The graphics in Half-Life 2. If you guys haven't played Half-Life 2, I know it's an old game. You should still play it.
Oh, I've played Half-Life. That's honestly one of my favorite games as well. And Gary's mod. I don't know if you played Gary's mod.
Oh, yeah. Played
used
Gary's mod many times.
Yeah, I used like Half-Life as the engine or whatever. I don't know the exact terminology, but yeah, I love those games.
Yeah, I tried to do some of the sandboxy ones, but, Player Unknown Battlegrounds, or what's the one now? The Spaz game. The rings keep coming in.
Fortnite. Warzone, Fortnite.
I'm sorry, no guns are purple, okay? No guns are purple. Yeah, so those are probably the games. I in terms of just shook me. That was there's probably a couple other ones in there.
All right. Well, I don't have any other questions, but I do really appreciate your time. It was an honor to chat with you. Like I said, I've looked up to you for a long time. You definitely helped me get into the field, inspired me to teach others. So it's really awesome that you were willing to come here and chat with us for a bit. So yeah, I very much appreciate it, and I hope one day I can maybe like take you out to eat somewhere if we're in the same area, or who knows what. But yeah, I'll keep in contact with you.
Excellent. Well, anytime you want to come down here and put a rod in the water and catch some redfish, let me know, man.
All right, I'll take you up on that one day.
Very good. Richard, keep that mustache going. Camden, you may be in Pennsylvania, but you're still a Texan, man. Don't never forget that. All right.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mike.
I love being a citizen of Texas and the 49 other lesser states. It's all good. All right, guys, y'all have a good one. Give me a holler sometime. Follow me on LinkedIn and say hello, will you?
Yeah,
Will do, Mike.
Thank you very much, Mike.
Cyber Now Labs. I'm out of here.
Yep. See you, everybody.
Thanks, Mike.
All right,
Bye,
bye-bye.
guys.